time now for the morning trade, and we take a look at Costco. Now, Costco reports its earnings after the closing bell this afternoon. It has been on an uptrend. Here to talk more about this one is Caroline Woods. Good to see you, senior markets correspondent here on Schwab Network.
Hey there, Nicole. Yes, Costco shares under a little bit of pressure this morning ahead of that report. They're down about 0.3%, but they've seen a really nice bounce, especially since March. If you take a look at the chart, up about 10% so far in 2025, only about 6% away from the highs. Zooming out and taking a look at the one-year chart, up 25%. So outperforming the broader market by quite a bit there. In terms of the numbers that we're actually looking for from Costco, adjusted EPS of $4.25 on revenue of $63.1 billion. That would be a decline from the previous quarter in revenue, but about an 8% increase from the year ago period. Breaking it down in terms of U.S. sales, $45.8 billion. Canada is expected to bring in about $8.5 billion. And then other regions about $8.6 billion. Membership fees expected to come in around $1.24 billion. Same-store sales expected to rise about 6% in the quarter. Costco had already reported earlier this month that sales through April rose 7% year over year to $21.18 billion. A slight slowdown from the prior month's gains, but still an increase. And then for the 4 weeks ended May 4th, Costco reported a 4.4% gain in same-store sales, with e-commerce sales up almost 13%. Wall Street's attention, of course, has been really focused on tariffs and what retailers are saying about potential price hikes, right, to offset the impact of those tariffs. When it last reported in March, Costco's CEO said that although it's difficult to really forecast the impact of tariffs, that it aimed to minimize cost increases for members. We'll see what they say now a few months later. They did point out that a third of its U.S. sales are from imports from other countries, but less than half of those imports came from China, Mexico, and Canada, and really pointed out that in times of uncertainty that their members have placed greater importance on the value of high quality items that they get at Costco. Analysts on the whole look at Costco as being in a favorable position given the current environment as well. UBS wrote a note last week saying an analyst there is saying that there's probably not a lot that can come from this print that will change the market's perception that Costco's still a good place to be. It says its superior position, levers, and capabilities to manage the upcoming headwinds will probably be more evident as the impact of tariffs become translucent in the coming months. So a pretty bullish note heading into the report. As I said, shares down modestly, down about 0.4%, but up on the month, up about 1.5% in May.
So the uncertainty about the prices, whether or not they have to raise them, the new element would be the wrath that these companies receive from the Trump administration, like Walmart, for example, when Walmart said they were raising prices and Trump told them you should eat it. You're making billions of dollars. You should sort of balance that out for the folks. Best Buy, with the electronics, noted the tariffs and the prices that they are and the costs they are facing. I haven't heard the Trump administration yet on that one. But, so that'll be an element. Also, the bright spot for Costco is they have what everybody wants. And those subscriptions, they never seem to say, oh, people canceled their Costco subscription. Every year, it's good news for the subscriptions.
Yeah. So, they have a loyal customer base. That's what they were pointing out in the last earnings call. The UBS analyst that I mentioned that, was out with a pretty upbeat note ahead of earnings did point out that Costco, they said, carries typically around 3,800 items, and it can readily elect to eliminate a product that it can't carry at a compelling price with only a 10 to 15% markup or so. So we'll see what they say about the price hikes. Obviously, there is the potential for feedback from the Trump administration, but they did say that they aim to minimize those costs too. And keep in mind, only a third of the products they sell are imports, so only a third of the products would be subject to those tariffs. So we'll see what they have to say on the earnings call.
Right. And look, there's certain brands or things that you definitely are not willing to give up, but maybe many things you might. You know what I mean? So
someone who shops at Costco, it's not all that often, so I don't necessarily remember the price either to know if there's a price hike or not.
Right. All right, Caroline Woods, good look there at Costco, which is at 10.10 today. The high was 10.78, and we'll get the earnings today after the bell. Let's trade it. Joe Tigay, portfolio manager of the Rational Equity Armor Fund, taking a look at this name. How would you go about an example trade? It has been on somewhat of an uptrend since after March and that low that we saw.
Yeah, it's been on an uptrend. If you zoom out and just look at the chart forever, it's just one of the great companies, one of the great stories in America. Just a great management, a great place. It's a great experience to be there shopping. I think the customers, as we mentioned, are very loyal. The subscription base is just not going anywhere. They've consistently risen the subscription price, and customers have stayed through and through. And it's just a great experience to go. Now, that said, looking at some of the other retail stores, it's priced much higher. So for me, it's very hard to continue to go higher and higher, even if it's going to be a great result. Now, we're kind of in an environment today. We started off the day fantastic. We're heading high off of yesterday's NVIDIA news. It seems like the market's throwing a little bit of cold water on that, just, taking it with a grain of salt, just kind of taking our breath here. There's a lot of other things going on. We've had a huge run up since the start of May. So this is just kind of a wait and see moment. I don't necessarily think we're going to be running away after any result out of here for Costco. So for me, it's a company I love. I'd love to buy it on a little bit of a pullback. I'm looking at selling a put, just looking out in June, just selling the 1,000 put for $20. Effectively, I'd be buying in Costco at $980, maybe about 3% lower here if it does go lower. So that'd be much more attractive than buying it at 110, obviously. And if it goes higher, that's great. I get to make my 2% just to sit here and watch it go higher with a lot less risk on the table.
Hey, Joe Tigay, thank you so much for looking at Costco for us today with your example trade. We appreciate it. Joe Tigay, portfolio manager of the Rational Equity Armor Fund.